I'll just kind of keep it really basic and straightforward and try to give you some information, try to help y'all out with your install. So let's go. So here's that Skar prefab box going under the seat. 2 10-inch subs. The recommended Skar wiring kit. The recommended Skar amp with the bass knob controller. I got a kicker line output converter and an LP HFD31 wiring harness from Packet Audio. This is like 40 bucks on Amazon, but it makes it a lot simpler. You don't have to cut into any factory wiring, and it just plugs in right into your wiring harness on your stereo. Alright, I got the kicker line output converter connected. I haven't soldered anything yet, but I'm going to get to that. I use some of these just cheap soldering connections and heat shrink wrap, and I'll also be taping it up with this automotive fabric tape. Just make sure you put the heat shrink on before you connect the wires. Solid goes to solid, striped goes to striped. On this mono amplifier, doesn't matter which way they go, but just to be sure, connect the solid to solid and stripe to stripe. You'll be using this harness here. It just taps into your front speakers. You could also tap into your rear speakers if you needed to or wanted to. For some vehicles, some speakers aren't full range, but in this case it doesn't matter. We'll just be tapping into the front here. And then I needed a ground for the line output converter, so I connected this other blue, yellow, red, and black harness. This red one is a accessory wire. It doesn't go to anything, so this is not going to be used in this situation. This is constant power, so this should replace the remote turn-on wire here. This is what would normally turn on your amp, send the signal to the amp to turn on, but I think we'll be using this one. I'm not completely sure yet, but I'll be sure to let y'all know once I figure that out for sure. I'm back here sealing up these wires. I just wanted to show you what these look like. The solder in there melts with the heat gun after a while, and I'm just putting some heat shrink over there. These are kind of cheap, so they don't melt as evenly as I like, but it's still a solid connection, and I'm just gonna put these heat shrink and then tape it up, and that'll be done there. Alright y'all, just an update. As far as I could tell, we're gonna cap this yellow wire and continue to use the remote turn on wire that is provided by the line output converter. It's just what I was worried about was in the instructions it says don't leave the wires loose. You need to connect them. Don't turn it on until they're connected. But this here says do not plug in before connecting or isolating loose wires. So they just mean, as y'all may know, just don't leave this constant power wire loose. If it happens to come in contact with a piece of metal, it's going to short the circuit and could cause damage. So we're just going to cap that off, and we'll use this wire here to go to the amp, and everything should be fine. This red wire is not used for anything, so we'll just cap that off as well. Alright y'all, do not even try this method. It's not gonna work out. It's too many wires back there. It's just not gonna fit. There's some people that get it to work, but I don't know how. I was trying with this wire puller. I got some scrap wire here. A metal bucket handle I was trying, just not gonna work. And I wish I had known this earlier. It would have only taken like 5 minutes. I spent too much time trying to get it through that little hole. But don't even try it. All you gotta do is pop off this badge right here, just a few clips, and there's a metal grommet that you'll pop off. It's right here. And then you just need to use your coat hanger to fish it through. It's actually really simple. And then, you know, tape it up, pull it through. Just you're gonna want to remove a few panels. These are gonna come off anyways. You'll need to remove this panel. It's gonna be a pain in the ass, but it just pops out with clips. You have to pull harder than you think, and it'll come out. And we're just gonna have to wire or fish the wire through these panels and I'll get back to you. Alright, I hate removing panels. You could remove this panel completely if you want and run the wire behind the carpet here, or just run it like I did and use a wire hanger or whatever and fish it through. And I'm just going to lay it flat down along the back behind the seat and mount the amp right over here. My flashlight's messing with me, but the amp's going to go down here, so I just need the wire to be that long. But I'm going to pull it all the way through and then cut what I need to cut off later. And over here I left enough wire. I mean, this wire is long as heck, so I'm just going to leave a little bit of extra and connect the fuse here. I think I'll mount the fuse down here. There's plenty of space for it, just with some zip ties. I may clean it up and mount it different later. There's a open slot right here for something. Maybe I'll put it there, but for now I think this is going to work just fine. Alright, I'm getting ready to hook up the amplifier wires here. I just got a wire ferrule, that's what these are, and some heat shrink. Gonna hook it up here and get these wires connected as well. Let's go. Alright, I've got the amp wires all connected. These speaker wires will go to the two connections on the sub. It doesn't need to be this long, but I'll trim it when I'm in the cab. This is the ground wire for the amp. I'll find a place to ground that behind the seats probably. This is the remote turn on for the line output converter that's going to connect to this blue wire. I just connected it here with a zip tie in this bolt location along with these wires, just so I can keep them out of the way and not getting unnecessarily tugged on. With these wires, I used these wire ferrules and some heat shrink. I just took these screws out and looked down in there to make sure they're getting a good connection with all metal and no heat shrink in the way. These are RCA cables that will go once again to the line output converter, and this wire is for the bass knob. I used some zip ties to tidy them up a little bit, and I'm going to run these up the driver's side, remove some paneling, and I'll get back to you. Alright, just a quick update. Got this amp in its spot. This is going to be its permanent spot as far as I can tell. Maybe I'll put it back further, but for now I'm just going to leave it here kind of loose. I'll probably slip some zip ties under here just to keep it in place for now until I get a better mounting platform for it. This is the grounding wire. It's 3 feet, I think, and there's a factory ground right behind here. My light's in the right spot. I just pulled this fabric back and put that there. I think that's a factory ground. I'm pretty sure. This is an aluminum body, and I've seen people saying that you need to ground it up in the engine bay, but I think that's a factory ground, so I think that'll work fine. This thing just fits. I mean, it's a little bit loose, but man, it barely fit. But no interference with the seat, and still a little bit of play down here, so fits just right. So let's keep going. All right, y'all, it's a bit later, but when I was looking at the video, I realized I didn't explain how to remove these trims very well, so I just want to go over that real quick. This top piece is going to be first. It goes all the way around the top of the screen. You can pop this out with your fingers or use that trim removal tool that I told you about. Down here, you'll start over here, pop it out. Behind the start and stop button, there's going to be a wire clip. Just remove that and work your way along here. Be careful not to be too forceful, but these can be held on pretty tight, so you're going to have to be a little more forceful than you might think. But once again, just go along slowly and pop out each clip as you go. Down here, these two side pieces on each side of the center console are going to pop out. Start at the back and work your way forward, and then they're going to pull out like this. The heating and air controls are going to come out, but they're going to be held on behind this trim piece with a couple of 7mm bolts. So pull those out, and then it's going to be held on by clips. Just pull out nice and easy. Up here, this top piece is going to be the speaker cover. Just pop that out with clips. And below it is going to be the speaker. You'll undo some 7mm bolts, and then that speaker is going to have a wire clip. Just remove that and put that over to the side. Below that is going to be the I think there's another piece here that you'll remove, but below that is going to be the radio harness. You'll undo that. It's going to be it's a bracket. It's going to be 4 7mm. Just remove those and set that to the side. And then the radio itself is going to be below that. There's going to be 4 7mm bolts down deep in there. Just be careful not to drop those. But that's it. Once you're done installing everything, just put these trim pieces back on in the reverse order. And I'll just say, if you do happen to break one of these clips in a piece of the trim, don't worry about it. I think I broke a couple on the truck. It's all going to fit back together just fine. I think I've broken clips on just about every car that I've worked on of my own that I had to remove trim pieces. So don't worry about it. It's just part of the job. All right, I got the radio module out. It's going to be 7mm screws for this bracket and 7 mils on these 2 points here. Just be careful when you're taking these out. Don't drop them. I dropped one, but I just removed this panel and it was sitting like directly behind it. Use a magnet or something. I was using my fingers, and there's enough space to do it, but it's real tight. It's easy to drop them. You're going to be removing a lot of these panels. It's not too difficult. It's actually all clips, and I recommend using something like this, a nylon pry bar from Harbor Freight. This one with that angle helps a lot. So for this bundle of wires, I'm going to run it behind the carpet right there. I just fished wire through your coat hanger or whatever. Fished it through. This carpet is easy to lift up, so just, reach in there. It's not too difficult, and there's plenty of space to wire these or to run these wires, so it's not too difficult. Let's go. All right, so we got power to this. That's a red light indicating we've got power. And let's just unplug this bundle of wire right here. Where is it? Right here. And that just plugs into our wiring harness. So we're getting ready to set everything up. Wiring in the remote power and running our wires behind the dash and connecting everything else. Let's go! I'm running the wires underneath these tabs, just along the factory wiring. Just make sure when you're doing this that none of the wires interfere with any of the tabs on the paneling. I'm zip tying it here along the wires, just kind of keeping it out of the way. And then I just tucked it up along this valley right here, and I'm going to bring it up towards the dash, towards the stereo unit. There's a lot of space back behind here to fish the wire through. I just used my hands, grabbed it up here, and we're about to get this connected and put the boost knob or base knob somewhere around here. Plenty of space with or length with the wire, so I'm just gonna find a spot to put it, and we'll get going. I've got everything connected here to the line output converter. Same method, connecting those blue wires, and just taped everything up. I'm gonna leave this up here, everything exposed, until I connect everything, install the fuse for the wire for the amp, and then make sure everything works. So I got that fuse hooked up, same method as all the wiring, and there's a plastic piece right next to the battery that I just drilled a hole into and put a zip tie around here. Not a professional install, but it's gonna work for now until I figure out a better way to mount it. But everything hooked up now. Disconnected the negative. Positive is hooked up. Just trimmed a little piece out of the way to give space for the new wire, and plenty of extra wire here in case I want to move it. Move the fuse to another location, but that's looking good for now, and that stick tie is not going anywhere. And one more thing, I reused that plastic grommet in there. I just cut a notch in it to fit around the wire, and then cut a hole in the middle, so no wires rubbing on bare metal, and everything's back in place there. All right, it's dark out here, it's raining bad, so sorry for the low light, but I got the speaker wires hooked up. I just tucked them underneath this plastic sheet, piece of plastic, and it's not going to crimp them, it's not going to damage them. There's plenty of space under there, and it just wired it straight to the back of the subs and left plenty of length here in case I want to remove the box or whatever. You know, you can always cut wire shorter, so I just left a little bit of length there, and we're going to get to testing it. I got the base knob here. I just routed the wire up under the heat and air conditioning controls. There's a little gap in there, but it's too tight. I don't feel good with it, so I'm gonna probably cut out a little notch there and let it come through there, and I may mount it right around here somewhere. But everything's hooked up, and I'm gonna get to testing it. Let's go. I wanted to reconnect everything just to make sure everything's working, so, and just in case something's wrong, I don't have to tear everything back apart. So I'm gonna get back to you and we'll listen to some music. All right, we got some bass. Everything works. Amp has power. Subs are working. They're hitting. They need to be tuned. I'm gonna get to that in a minute, but you may notice that this amp has power even after you lock the doors. You know, get out, close the doors, lock the doors. It still has power, but it should turn off in a couple of minutes. That's just because the head unit where we plugged into has power for a couple minutes after you lock the doors, but it will turn off if you did everything I did. So I'm gonna get to putting things back together and get to tuning the amp, and I'll get back to you. I just tucked the line output converter right there. It's against some soft fabric. Well, not soft fabric, but it's just not too loose, so I don't think it's gonna move around and make any rattling noises, so that should be good. There's always a chance it may, so I might just I should do it before I put it all together, but put some double-sided tape just to keep it in place. But I think it's fine. Alright, I'll just quickly show you where I have the amp settings at. The bass equalizer is off. That's what Skar recommends, unless you know what you're doing and need more, you know, fine tuning. The gain is about 3/4 of the way, maybe a little more than half. Low pass filter is about 1/3 of the way. Subsonic is right around 42 hertz, which is what the enclosure is tuned to. 42.5, I think. So what we want is between that, between 30 and around where the box is tuned to. So I just estimated it's probably right about there. Low pass filter, I just went by ear until I started hearing distortion. Gain as well, until I started hearing clipping. I turned it down a bit. I turned it down more than I need to, I think, just to be safe. All right, it's the next day. I've been messing with the tuning on the amp, and everything sounds good. I even adjusted the bass on the head unit, and I think as long as you're careful with the settings on the bass or on the amp and you don't hear any distortion, I think you're safe doing that. On my old car I had back in the day, I found the cheapest amp I could find on eBay, and I had the bass on my head unit turned all the way up, and I had those things for 10 years, so I don't think it's a problem as long as you're careful with your settings and you're paying attention to the noise and making sure there's no distortion so you don't blow your subs. But with that being said, you know, these factory speakers on this truck actually have a decent amount of bass already, so I wanted that kind of surround sound effect from those. So I felt like I was missing out on some of the bass in there. But once I turn that up, it hits so hard. I have the bass knob turned like about a fifth or a sixth of the way up, and it hits hard. It's almost a bit much for me. I only wanted a little extra, but these subs hit. These 10s are crazy. I know a lot of people talk bad about Skar, but I think the quality is there. I think if you're looking for some subs that are a decent price and you want some good bass, these are definitely going to be good for you. I'm very happy. I think I'm satisfied with these, and I'm still going to mess around with the tuning, but this setting I have it at now is great. I feel very happy with this. So I hope this video helped y'all, and thanks for watching.